This is the only reason anybody will listen to your podcast. I'm Brian Fleming, the founder of the Podgasm Marketing Podcast, where I show you how to say what you do in your podcast and your brand messaging so more of the right people will show up, subscribe, and listen to your podcast. So here's the deal. I learned this when I started off in public speaking years ago, about 17 years ago. I had this idea. I looked at these speakers on Speaker Bureau websites, and there are all these different topics people were talking on. So I had to kind of see, where do I fit in of all these topics that are being paid to speak, because they're topics obviously people are interested in. Well, here's the deal. Here's why people listen, to speakers or book speakers, or listen to podcasts like yours, for example. And this is one of the biggest ways people really screw up their podcast, and it fades and it fails, and they never get it off the ground when they're new. All right. There's one reason, and one reason only, people will listen to your podcast, and it's called value. What's that mean? Well, first of all, who the hell is your podcast for? I see so many podcasts, and I've been on a bunch of them. I've been on hundreds of podcasts, and they really can't even tell you who exactly it's for and what the problem they're solving is. Because here's the deal. Value is the only thing people pay money for, make buying decisions or listening decisions. So think about it. If you don't know who you're talking to exactly, you can't nail down what problems or things they're dealing with specifically in order to address them. And that's exactly what people are looking for when they're searching online or in an app store or anything like that. They're looking for solutions to problems, and that can come in a lot of different forms. You could be solving, how to cook Italian food better. Or maybe they're stuck in traffic. I've said this before, and they want some comic relief. So they listen to a comedy podcast or whatever it is. Your people that you want to listen to your podcast, they're looking for value, and value almost always comes in the form of solving a problem. All right. By the way, if you haven't gotten it already, make sure you go download the free Speak Your Listeners Language PDF. It's free. It's only 3 pages. It's super short. Has a few pages on it. A few questions on there that if you answer those, you can start crafting a very compelling and clear brand message that will attract the right people to your podcast. So click the link in the description or just go to podgasmshow.com. Grab that thing. It's free. But here's the deal. Again, if you want more people to listen to your podcast, literally just add value. Make that your number one priority, adding value. And that means solving problems. On this podcast, on my show, I help podcasters get more subscribers, or the right subscribers and listeners, by learning and knowing how to say what they do in a clear, compelling way that gets attention, that gets them noticed, and attracts more of the right people to their podcast. That's the problem I solve. So what about your podcast? Think about it. What problem specifically do you solve? What's the big one major problem you're solving for your listeners? What is it? Be very clear on it. If you can't say it in a sentence, you don't know it. All right? And I want to encourage you to do that. That's why I want you to go get that free download right now, because I'm going to help you clarify that so your podcast will continue to grow. By the way, I'm really curious. What is your podcast about? What's it called and what's it about? Leave a comment down below and let me know. What is your podcast? I would love to see what it's about.